Joining us now by phone is Ari Shulman, who was driving near Reagan National Airport in Washington and who actually witnessed this mid-air collision. Mr. Shulman, what can you tell us? Where were you and what did you see?
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I was just driving home on the George Washington Parkway, which is the freeway that runs from downtown D.C. to Alexandria, south of town. So I was just driving home. I live right by the airport. You drive immediately by the airport when you're driving south on that road. And I wasn't looking directly at the airport while I was driving. It was off to my left, but I was looking at the line of planes coming in. It's a very elegant, interesting thing to look at, so I always look at it when I'm on that drive. And I just wondered if there might be a plane right about to land. It looked from the spacing of the planes lined up like there would be. So I looked off to my left, and I saw this plane landing. It was right about to come over the land. Everything looked normal. It looked like a smaller end passenger jet, but kind of a normal passenger jet. It was normal. I didn't see anything amiss. It was level flight. So I looked back at the road, and then a moment later, I looked back again at the plane, and this time it was banked all the way to the right. I would say maybe past all the way to the right. It looked almost like it was past 90 degrees. You could see the underbelly of the plane, and it was lit up a very bright yellow, and there were sparks underneath the plane, underneath the belly of the plane, which I think is what was lighting it up. I saw that it must have been less than 2 seconds. I didn't see it colliding with anything. I didn't see a helicopter. To me, it just looked like a plane that was suddenly in very severe distress and spewing sparks for some reason. I looked back at the roadway and then looked back, and I didn't see anything again. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you see the plane fall into the river?
No. I was driving, and it was off to my left, so this was all little snatches that I was taking looking off to my left. So I saw what must have been the collision. I looked back about 2 seconds later to see if I was going to see it hit the ground or see some kind of fireball or impact or anything, and I didn't see anything beyond that. I couldn't see the plane. I didn't see a fireball. I didn't see anything other than that collision, but I was looking clearly there, so if there was something there, I would have seen it.
And Mr. Shulman, was the plane always intact when you were looking at it?
When I saw it, it looked to me to be completely intact. I saw what must have been either probably the first second or two after the collision. It looked to me like both of the wings were on, the tail was on, the head was on. It looked intact.
So just to go over that again, Mr. Shulman, after what we believe was the collision point, and you got another look at the airliner as it was going down, it did seem to be going down intact.
When I saw it, yeah. When it was banked all the way to the right. It wasn't going down yet, but it had banked very sharply to the right. And I know when a plane is banked to the right, when it's 100 feet off the ground, that means it's going to hit the ground in just a second. So it was right about to go down. It had already collided, and it appeared to me to be intact.
And at that point, was it about 100 feet above the ground?
That's my guess. There's a park right by the airport where you can see the planes coming in underneath you. That's at the other end of the airport, but I go down to that park a lot. A lot of Washingtonians do that, and you kind of get a sense for how high the planes are at that point when they're right about to land. And that would have been my guess, 100 feet, not more than 100 feet in the air.
Let me go back to the point where this was a perfectly normal flight that you were looking at. You've got experience. This is your commute. You're driving home. You see planes land all the time. And it's something that catches your eye intentionally when that happens. This plane, as you say, was in line to land, as they are at that airport. They're coming in sequentially. Did everything look normal in your own personal experience of knowing that flight track into National Airport?
It looks normal to me. Yeah. Again, I looked at it twice, each time for maybe less than 2 seconds. But the first time that I looked at it, it wasn't banked at all. It was level wings. I didn't see anything else around it. There were no sparks. There was nothing abnormal looking. It looked like a totally normal landing. And then when I looked back 3 seconds later, it looked like it had just collided.
So, and this is not obviously, any sort of investigative proof here, but in your experience of this visual of planes landing there on that route that you drive by every day. As far as you could tell, this plane was doing everything it was supposed to do in its approach to that airport.
It looks totally normal to me, yes.
And then you turned away. When you turned back, it seems as though you turned back after what we believe was the impact, because that plane was now wildly off course and basically headed down, but not broken apart by whatever collision had occurred.
Not that I saw. So what I saw was the plane still in midair, banked all the way to the right. It appeared to me to be intact. I looked back at what I would have assumed was the moment of collision, expecting to see some kind of fireball or a crash, and it looked completely clear and blank. You would have had no idea that anything was happening there.
Ari Shulman, who's been an eyewitness as he was driving home tonight to this mid-air collision, thank you very much for describing it as you have, in as much detail as you have. That's very helpful, and I'm sure has left some hope for people in Kansas and elsewhere who are hoping for survivors on this airliner, which, as far as you can tell, went down intact.